This is Craig with S&B Filters. Today we're going to do an install on a 2009 to 23 Dodge Ram 1500 Hemi classic body style. All right, we're going to start by disconnecting the temp sensor. We're going to loosen the hose clamp at the intake tube airbox connection. We're going to remove this crankcase vent from the airbox. And then loosen the clamp at the throttle body. All right, with those three loosened, we can take the intake tube off and then remove the factory airbox. It's just sitting in grommets. Okay, next we're going to remove the engine cover. This just pops out. Okay, next we're going to remove the CCV hose and sleeve. Just pops off there. Okay, this next step we're going to remove this airbox mounting tray. To do this, you're going to want to turn the wheels to the passenger side to gain access to remove the wheel liner. There'll be 2 bolts under the wheel liner mounting the tray to the frame. All right, so we're removing all the screws and push pins that secure the wheel liner to the truck on the passenger side to gain access to the airbox mounting tray. So there's a harness down in here. Normally this thing, or there's a push pin down there. Make sure that's disconnected before removing the wheel liner. All right, now with the wheel liner removed, we can remove the airbox mounting bracket. There'll be 4 bolts, 2 right here, and then 2 under the frame. Four bolts, remove the airbox mounting bracket. All right, next we're going to start prepping the airbox. We're going to put in our tube seal. Okay, next we're going to install this mounting bracket using the supplied hardware. Okay, next we're going to install the grommet into this location. All right, with all of our kits, we have a secondary opening. We also supply a plug for that opening. whether or not you use it is up to you. We recommend using it if you're in extreme conditions. If it's real hot or snow, rain, I would plug this. For this application, we're going to leave it out today. All right, now for the tube, we're going to use the other grommet. That's for our temp sensor, goes right here. Make sure you look inside and make sure it's all the way seated. All right, next we're going to remove the temp sensor from the OE intake tube. You're going to want to pry it up over that ramp and go counterclockwise to get it out. And then we're going to put it in the S&B tube, and we want that tab facing downwards. So when you install the temp sensor into the intake tube, this tab you want facing about 90 degrees off the throttle body. All right, so we're going to install the S&B airbox like this. This tab here will mount under the frame, and we're going to use the bolt that was removed earlier to mount it to the upper frame. Just get this one hand tight and then go to the bottom using the supplied hardware, 8mm bolt and washer, and this is going to mount to the bottom of the frame. And then tighten both connections. All right, now we're going to reinstall the wheel liner. These two holes here are going to line up with the S&B airbox. We have supplied hardware to mount it there, and then you just reuse all the other. We also have some clips because the factory ones tend to break off, so reuse the screws and then use the S&B clips to reinstall the wheel liner. Okay, so we're using the supplied hardware to mount the wheel liner to the airbox. Bolt and washer here, and washer nut underneath. There's two of them there. That'll secure the wheel liner to the airbox. All right, next we're gonna put the silicone adapter onto the throttle body. You can tighten the lower clamp, mounting it to the throttle body. Leave the top one loose for the intake tube. All right, next we're going to use the supplied hose onto the crankcase port. We're just going to push down on that, and this will go under the engine cover. All right, next we're going to install the engine cover over that hose. Make sure it pops back into the two grommets in the back. And then there's two pins that it's going to sit down on. All right, next we're going to install the S&B air filter into the airbox. Push it in with the base here first on this side, and then you'll be able to rotate it once it's in there. Kind of leave it loose, and then we're going to take our intake tube, push it through the airbox, onto the air filter, and onto the throttle body. All right, with the intake tube installed, we're going to push the air filter onto the tube. Probably push this into the throttle body first. Get that secure, and then press the filter on. Okay, before you tighten down the tube, look at your crankcase hose and kind of measure off to see where you'd have to trim it to get onto the port of the intake tube. We cut ours right about here so it slides on easier. Okay, we had to lift up the engine cover a little bit to get the crankcase hose onto the tube, but you're able to grab it and push it onto the nipple of the tube. So now that that's on, throttle body's tight, we're going to install the air filter onto the tube and secure this down. Okay, next we're going to reconnect the temp sensor. All right, last step, we're going to install the S&B clear cover and the silicone snap-in seal. Peel back the protective film on both sides. You're going to want to do the tab last. Okay, now we're going to, with the seal in place, we're going to snap the lid into the airbox. All right, that completes the install of the 09 to 23 Ram 1500 5.7 liter Hemi. Classic body style.